Hello, hello, ladies and gents, A through Z. What's up? Give me just a moment. Alright. I'm just gonna do some audio tests real quick, and it'll just be a moment. So let me just, if there's anyone in the chat section, if the sound is a bit much or the volume, please let me know. Hopefully everything's alright, but I'll just do some quick checks in game as well. Alright, so while we load this up real quick, let me just do some quick sounds here. Hopefully the sound is alright. Let's check this out real quick. Alright, COA. Let's just go ahead and modify this real quick. 75 I think should be good. Let me just tailor that a little bit, slightly further down. And same with the music, I'll just go a little further down. Alright, okay, so this is a test. This is a test, ABC, 1, 2, 3. Test again. ABC, 1, 2, 3. Let's throw a heal ourselves real quick. And then one more time, I'm out of mana. Can't shapeshift, can't actually do anything. Alright, let's go to the targets real quick. So, yeah, this is not a Stormbringer. Rest assured. They don't shapeshift. At least to my knowledge. But we're just gonna run a few tests here, sound-wise. We'll do about 2-minute combat, and see what that's like real quick. Alright, let's hit this real quick. Ooh, my bad. Alright. Here we go. Should probably fill up my mana first. It's all good. Let me go ahead and get out of combat real quick. Alright, and we're going to switch up the melody just for a moment here. This might be alright too. So let's see if the volume is okay. Alright, and let's get back to combat. I'm going to restart that timer. Let's do that 2-minute timer real quick. Alright, here we go. And I'm going to work my way down to 75. About 75, right? Go combat real quick. Alright. I got so many tabs. Working through it though. Working through it. So we're about almost full mana. Let's go to our beetle form real quick. It's pretty interesting actually how this was done. Get some rage going. go back to spellcasting real quick. So there's probably talents for it, but when you shapeshift, probably the rage will maintain. Let's get the energy going for spider farm. Alright, so we are about 2 minutes. Alright, let me switch over to my Stormbringer. I'm going to do a recap, but let me just check out how everything sounds. And we'll go over some quick scripture reading as well. Hopefully everyone's doing alright. It's kind of quiet on chat, but we'll see you guys later as well. Whoever's checking out this stream later on in the future. It's kind of funny how that works. So Stormbringer will be our class of focus today. We'll get into the ketchup and mustard. Heh. Soonish. Alright, so let me go ahead and cut this real quick. Give me a moment, guys. Alright guys, we're about to switch back in just a moment here. This is how it is when you're solo streaming. the testing and the sound and all that stuff. All good though. So hang on real quick. Let me just modify my sound. I think we should be okay. Alrighty. So now is the time for the questions. All sorts of them. Where do we begin? I would say the best way to begin is to talk about the last video. Alright, we're here with our Stormbringer right now. Alright, we're going to get into all of that nitty gritty. Details, X, Y, and Z. I'm still figuring out how I'm going to talk on the stream, so just thank you for your patience. But, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. In a moment. Here we are. Okay, good. What's up, guys? How you doing? Alright, so, yeah, good morning on this side. Hopefully everyone's doing good. I do want to catch up on what we went through in the last stream. So, in the last stream, what we did was we were playing the Witch Doctor after level 10. And we found out how each of the specs functioned. So that video is on YouTube, that stream. It's a playthrough, so I do understand. Yeah, it is quite a lengthy video. And this one will also be a lengthy video as well. So, you know, as far as any editing and stuff, it's going to be on the minimal side. But feel free to check it out. I think you could find out like where things are through the AI chat as well, with timestamps and stuff. You know, so you could kind of breeze through some of the other parts. There's some travel in between time, all that other stuff. There is some stuff that I am working on the side as far as projects, side projects. We did start off Tinker. Witch Doctor was our last video, and now we're on our third, the Stormbringer. So what could be said about the Witch Doctor first? With the Witch Doctor, I think it's very capable. As far as ranged, you have shadow hunting, which you use a ranged weapon, use shadow-oriented magic, you know, and a lot of tools to keep enemies at bay. There's a lot of CCs and slows. I don't think there's an actual knockback, not like what Tinker has, but as far as shadow hunting, I think you're overall pretty secure as far as tools that are available to you, especially at the level 10 plus mark. That's where you get a lot of your spec identity stuff, you know, a lot of the specialized abilities and stuff. Going forward, you also have Voodoo, which is casting damage, DPS. So what I recall with with Voodoo, is there's ways to manipulate, like, I think with the Jinxes, you can manipulate the opponent's speed and a lot of the bonus effects. So you have, what is this? Reduced either physical damage and casting speed or attack speed. I think it's attack speed. So there's different little ways that get swung in there, and you could kind of cripple your enemy slowly in that kind of way. And then for the healing specialization, you have brewing. So ingredient based, you know, depending on what ingredients you have, you know, it will depend on what kind of brew affects your potion or your what do you call it? I don't have the thing right in front of me at the moment, but it's basically your potion that gets adjusted based on the ingredients that you use. So there's different bonus effects. I think you'd only have like 2 ingredients to start off available per brew, and then you could add in, I think, maybe more in talents. I'm not sure yet, but it was pretty fun. Witch Doctor. I didn't test healing yet on, I guess you say RDF or Mana Storm. I did test healing on Invention Tinker though. It was pretty interesting. But a lot could be said with Witch Doctor alone. Definitely catches the troll theme, which was, I think, very heavily needed. In hang on, this is getting a bit kind of loud, I think. Hang on, let me adjust volume. There's some parts of the collection where it's a bit louder than others. Let me just adjust it. But yeah, I mean, as far as the troll identity, that's kind of been in World of Warcraft from the very start. It's kind of been a lot more elaborate with the Witch Doctor class, which is really interesting. Definitely brings a lot to the table. And, a lot of these other classes will do that too. I think Barbarian, they have, kind of like a thrown weapon kind of specialization. More on that later, on a little spoiler there. You have also the Starcaller class and the Sun Cleric too, which is largely thematic with a large amount of the races. They have different, I guess you'd say heritage or observances in story, lore-oriented kind of classes. So that's something that I found to be interesting. So yeah, that's some parts I thought I'd share about that. Is there anything else with Witch Doctor? There's a lot more to discover at the higher levels. I think I'm at level 19, close to 20. So maybe there'll be a revisit down the road, a hangout stream, kind of in that style. So these streams here are just going to be focused on a particular class. So sorry I did show Venomancer a little earlier. That was just for the sake of testing, but Venomancers will be coming soon. After this class with Stormbringer, we have the Reaper coming up. So I'm sure some people are excited about that. People who have heard about Reaper. So it's a pretty cool class. There's a lot more to see about it and figure out like what era in the Shadowlands does the Reaper like kind of take place. Is it Shadowlands as we know from the retail end, or is it Shadowlands pre World of Warcraft, or you would say Wrath of the Lich King era, when there's not so much known about it? So that's what makes it a bit more mysterious there. Reaper, yeah, it's like a death class. But that's what I have to say about Witch Doctor. We're going to move on to the scripture for a moment here. We're going to review God's word. So let me go ahead and pause out of respect. Okay, and again, I hope everyone's doing good. So today's scripture is Psalm 107, verses 1 through 3. So let me just get that for you guys. Alright, so New International Version. I'll just go ahead and read it first. Kind of explain a little bit where it's coming from or what it's about. And we'll go ahead and start off with some prayer. Alright, so Psalm 107, verses 1 through 3. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord tell their story, those he redeemed from the hand of the foe, those he gathered from the lands from east and west, from north and south. Alright, so what you're going to notice for those who are outside or those who are within, many Christians have all sorts of different, you say demographics, different descriptors, if you will. Even among ourselves within faith, there is quite a number of people that are not the same as you and I, right? And so with that, I guess you say division or those differences, those unique differences, everyone's got something different to bring to the table, right? And so it could be hard to work with some folks, depending on attitude, misinterpretation, communication, or just overall not familiar with certain groups of people, right? We're not going to know everything at the end of the day, so that, of course, requires patience and solution-oriented mindset, what I've come to learn. And the one who provides those kind of things, a level of self-control, right? There's a lot of things we want to say, especially if we're not familiar, if it's a different heritage or a different background. Depending on what kind of person you are, some people are just not about that, and some people would rather be in their own little kind of circle. And then there are some people who are more outgoing, right? More willing to learn, more willing to accept the differences of other people, right? So with this scripture, we're able to put into practice the things that we learn from God. So he redeemed us. It says here, let the redeemed of the Lord tell their story, those he redeemed from the hand of the foe. So largely the foe or the worldly influences that are in our lives, we end up either judging people or kind of getting riled up very easily. Hatred is a very common thing in these days, right? So it's very odd, I guess, or it's not so common that you're going to find someone who's a bit more composed, a bit more solution-minded or cooperative kind of mentality. So that's what I just want to share with you guys. There is value in that. There's a lot of biblical teaching that's connected to this. A lot of it regarding patience, a lot of it regarding forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? Most people, or a lot of people, don't understand the concept of forgiveness, right? So it takes a lot of forgiveness, forgiving yourself, right? And the baggage that you carried before you come to the knowledge of God. So that's very important, all right? And this could help us understand people, both within the church more so, God willing, hopefully, right? And also outside the church. So people who are outside of faith, people who are not Christian, people who see it differently, that's okay. We see it differently too. So we're basically the same. we kind of see it different. But the thing for us is that our hope is not our own hope. You know what I'm saying? Our source, it's not our own source. It's not self-provided. All right, that comes from up above, from heaven, from God, and that's what we carry with us. That's where our help comes from. So I hope this message, gives you guys a reminder, or for those of you who are Christian, a reminder of who God is and how He sustains us. And as it says in verse 1, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever. So His love is not like our love. It's not like the love of the world. There's conditions. There's always conditions, right? In the Bible, the conditions are quite different. All right, so I'm gonna let that sit where that is, guys, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and we'll go ahead and pray right now, and we'll get into the gameplay. So, dear Heavenly Father, dear God, I just want to go ahead and pray, Lord, and give you thanks for everything you provide. At the end of the day, without you, we don't have anything, Lord. Even being able to stream and all this technology, Lord, that we're able to navigate it in a godly way, and also dealing with other people, Lord, people who are not quite like us, that we're able to find quick solution and develop reasonable or friendly ties, or at least on a neutral positive. But you give us the strength and the ability, the patience to look those things over, Lord. I pray for the listener and whatever it is that they may be going through, however it is in their life, Lord, that they're able to work through the differences. I know I definitely have my differences as well, and just want to give you praise and exaltation every step of the way. Pray that we enjoy our stream. Let us continue going on in good faith. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. All right, guys. So, rock steady on that. Guys, we're going to get into the Stormbringer gameplay, and I'll be switching in just a moment, which is right here. All right, we got our Stormbringer, and we're going to make sparks fly. Yeah, something like that, right? Let's go ahead and modify the sound real quick again. All right, and it is actually getting quite humid. Goodness, I'm gonna have to like re-establish some of the temperature here. It's kind of warm today. All right, this music is unfitting for the zone, so I'm gonna switch that real quick. Welcome to Kalimdor, even though we're in the Eastern Kingdoms. We'll just keep that going on the sidelines. Alright, so, Stormbringer. Let's head back to Stormwind real quick, by the odds. Stormbringer, Stormwind. We also have Bruiseweed, which I can't loot. And this might have been done before, but I'll do it once more. We'll fly straight to Stormwind. There's some interesting changes that happened with Stormwind recently. Let me just switch over here. And I'll leave that for you guys' discovery. We could probably look at a few things, but not a lot. Alright. So we have a few abilities with our level 1 through 10 adventure. I'm actually at 11 right now, but I still have it listed here. And we will also be picking a spec to start off with. So the first spec will be lightning, second will be wind, and then maelstrom. So those are the specializations. Alright, we're going to go through some of the mechanics and navigating the spells that Starbringers have. And let me know in the comments if you guys have experienced Stormbringer. Are you new to COA? Or is there another class that you have interest in? I know for me, I have quite a few. I find a lot of them to be interesting, actually. All right, so we're here in Stormwind. Let's go ahead and mount up, which we can't do right here. So again, we're just going to do 2-minute drills. And we're also going to look into the abilities that Stormbringers start off with. The skills that you acquire level 1 through 10. So these are your specializations here. We'll get into detail on this in a moment. But you have Wind, Maelstrom, and Lightning. Wind is also a support spec. They're all caster across the board, intellect. And we'll get into detail on that soonish. Alright, let's go ahead and get our 2-minute drills started. Alright, folks, we are set. Alright, we got our 2 minutes. Quite a lot to explain, a lot to figure out. As you notice on this side, hang on, let's get out of combat real quick. Oh, we're out of combat already. You notice that this bar here, alright, this is static. Alright, and we accumulate static as we do our spells. So let me just move somewhere here real quick. And we'll go over the abilities in just a moment. And again, the music is a mix mash. Wow, mismatch. There you go. Alright, so let's hop right over here. Alright, we'll close this timer. So, what are we working with as a Stormbringer, right? So, let's go into our spellbook real quick. Alright, and I'll also demonstrate the abilities as well. Alright, so the first ability that we learned is Shock and Call Lightning, alright? So Shock, that is your, it's rank 2 on this one, but the values just are a little less on rank 1. But basically, this generates 20 static. It does have a 35-yard range. And you shock an enemy for 31 nature damage, plus an additional 20% of the initial damage over 1 second. And then Call Lightning, which is right here. This is, I think, a rank 2, right? Oh, no, alright, Call Lightning, I think you get a little later on. It does say require level 2. I guess that might have been changed, but either way, it does deplete your static. So the static, as you see here, is depleting little by little. What it does is it calls down a massive bolt of lightning, dealing 51 nature damage. Alright, so pretty cool ability. And as you just saw, we did demonstrate some attacks, but we'll also demonstrate more clearly afterward. Um, yeah, in Call Lightning rank 2, I think. Was this at... Hold just a moment. Rank 1, yeah, requires level 2. This one requires level 6. Okay, so disregard that. Anyway, so ranks we'll just skip over. We also have Electrocute, which is learned at level 4. Alright, so Electrocute. This generates 10 static. Electrocute an enemy for 37 nature damage. And this is only usable below 35% health. Alright, so that's it would work like basically like a kill shot or what do you call it? Kind of like an execute ability. Yeah. So level 4, you learn also Whirlwind Aegis. I think that's a buff. Yeah, right here. So Whirlwind Aegis, it increases your armor contribution from items by 100% and increases spell haste by 3%. It lasts 30 minutes, and you can only have one Aegis up at a time. So, okay, that's cool. That's a different buff here, so let's kind of separate that real quick. Let's see, what else do we have? Call of the Storm, which I believe is this one. Nope. Hang on. Call of the Storm. Maybe I'm got that wrong. Let me see real quick. Yeah, right here. Call of the Storm. Okay, it's also another buff. Alright, so Call of the Storm. Call upon the power of the storm to empower an allied player, increasing their intellect by 3 for 30 minutes. Alright, so it's an intellect buff. Pretty nice to have. Right? And yeah, we did get our shock rank 2 at level 6. We also have Invigorating Surge, which I believe is a storm ability, wind ability. Hang on. No, it's not. Maelstrom? Invigorating Surge. There you go. So, let's go ahead and read this. This also depletes 25 static as well. You have a 40-yard range. You shock an ally's body, revitalizing it, and instantly healing them for 81. Alright, and those values will change as you rank up. Going forward, level 8, let's see. So, level 8, you learn Conjure Thunder Ale, which is right here. Alright, rank 1. And what it does is you conjure 5 tankards of weak Thunder Ale, providing the Stormbringer and his allies with something to drink. Conjured items disappear if logged out for more than 15 minutes. So, yeah, this item will change, I think, over time. As you rank it up, it might have like a different naming or so. Just make sure that you have that like kind of like hotkeyed, the right one in case you need it. I think it's instant cast, right? No, it's out of combat. It's kind of like as if you're eating and stuff. Yeah, that's how it would work. All right, even though he's full health, that was just for demonstration. Let's see, level 8, Conjure, yeah, Thunder Ale, yeah, we did that. So then we also have Storm Alert, right here. Alright, so you disturb an enemy with a vision of the coming storm, fearing them for 10 seconds. Can only affect one enemy at a time. Damage caused may interrupt the effect. Alright, so that's Storm Alert. It's good to have a little bit of crowd control. And then level 10, you obtain Discharge and Execute. Those are both just rank 2s. Am I missing anything else? Let's see. Anything else as far as class orientation? Give me a moment to review this, guys. So I'm actually a little confused. I'm not sure if there's been any changes since I last played. But Conjure Storm, I think, is a different thing. Hang on, let me get the book real quick. This is at level 8. Somehow, I didn't put it down. Okay. It is what it is. Alright, but level 8, you do learn Conjure Storm. It's just something to bear in mind as you level up your, what's this? Your Stormbringer. Alright, as far as anything else, I think we're squared away. Let's just look over it real quick. Conjure Storm. Yep, we have that. Alright, Call Lightning. Yep, that's there. Electric Ingenuity. Okay, just something to mention. You also get an enchanting buff. Skill is increased by 15. So, enchanting, yeah. Let's see. Electrocute, Shock. I think we're strained out there. Alright. And then we're going to go to Conjure Thunder Ale. Yep, we have that. Call of the Storm. Storm Alert. Yep, good. And then Wind. We only learned one thing with Wind. So our first specialization is going to be Lightning. We'll do a breakdown of that, but let me go ahead and go for a full demo of the abilities so you guys get to see the animations and, you know, see what it's like. So again, we were doing our drill earlier, but that was just to see how Stormbringer fights and also to test high keys. So let's go ahead and jump back to it. Alright, so again, you're going to have shock. You're going to generate static from this. Alright. And there's small ticking damage that takes place as you notice, little by little. Alright, now you're going to notice that I'm at a full static bar. I can still continue hitting it, but the only thing I benefit from doing that is draining my mana, which is not a benefit at all. Right? But since you do have static, discharge is really good. Alright, why? Because we obtain mana from that. Now, it could work in the sense that you know, if there's enemies around you, it is an AoE. It restores also 15% of your mana. And it deals 38 nature damage to enemies within 5 yards of you. So keep that in mind as you run out of mana. Of course, this is why it's also important to attack. So Call Lightning. This depletes static. This is a spender. Alright, so your static will fluctuate. Let's go ahead and consume a bit just to get our mana up again. So we want to throw a little bit more into the mix. And this does 90 nature damage. It's a massive bolt of lightning. So here we go. So let's go ahead and coordinate that again. So we got Shocked and Call Lightning. So just bear in mind that those also require a cast time. We're going to get mana back with a Discharge. Keep the static going. Go ahead and Call Lightning once more since we have a high amount of static. Now this is one of the first classes that I played in COA. And there was much more consequence should you exceed a certain amount of static. You would actually get stunned, and I think you'll drop health, I think, up to 80%. Maybe they fluctuated that in between time in the earlier alpha phases. But now that we're in the beta, I believe they're more solidified in their decision on how it functions. No consequences, it would seem, by getting 100%. There might be benefits, but at the moment, no consequence. Maybe later on, they'll encourage some kind of gameplay as we go through the specializations. Alright, so what's the other ability? We also have Conjure Storm. Alright, that's our AoE. You could target that. You see a little bit of AoE damage. And once again, just to read it, you conjure a storm over a target area, instantly dealing 15 initial damage, nature damage to enemies, dealing an additional 61 damage to the enemies in the area over 12 seconds. So, this only consumes, 50 static, so it's about half of it. But hopefully you have enough, you have someone off tanking or something to keep them off you. You could still, you know, there's still tactics that you'll have as a Stormbringer, but it's a nice AoE to throw down. Alright, is there anything else? Well, we can't use the Electrocute, alright, because that's for like finishing targets that have 35%. This is not taking much damage anyway. Let's see what else. Yeah, same thing with the Storm Alert Fear. That's a fear. Alright, but we do have our static right here, and we also have our instant cast heal. So that's good that it's instant. I mean, it says a cooldown, but I guess that's just based on global cooldown or so, if I'm saying that right. Okay, and again, this is what it looks like for your invigorating search. Let's get this titling out of the way. There you go, a bit of a shocking experience there, right? And then Thunder Ale, this is just to conjure it. So you got some more Thunder Ale. And what's nice is that this gives you mana too. Actually, it gives you more mana than health. So that's cool. Is there anything else? Because I did read them already, but yeah, this is called the Storm, and I'll also do Whirlwind Aegis, the buff. So this is Whirlwind Aegis. A little bit of like a whirlwind effect. And then this is Call of the Storm. So one more time. Aegis. A little bit of lag there. Call of the Storm. Alright. So let's do a reload real quick. Maybe it's on my end. I don't know. Hopefully not. So let's get into those other abilities that I can't use. We're going to go a bit more on outside in the wilderness. What do we have here? Killing fields. Okay, this is all Westfall quests actually, by the odds. Yeah. Alright, so let's where's our Hearthstone? Yeah, by the odds it's in Goldshire. We were doing some questing in this area last time. So let's go ahead and just knock out a few of these quests and also execute on those abilities. We'll also get into the talents in just a moment. And there's probably a good chance that there's those carts on the outside there. Yeah, alright. Alright, so as far as talents. Yeah, let's see if we can catch a cart. Probably gonna get ran over by it. Yeah, as usual. They glitch through you, but it's it is what it is. Alright. Yeah, let me just pull out of the chat. The chat is a little disruptive there. Gotta watch the chat sometimes, guys. What do we have going on? Yeah, the card's delayed anyway. Alright, so we have Wind. Support your allies with powerful boons and control enemies with using a Wind Servant to aid you. So you do require Intellect for this specialization. Let me just pop off to the side here. And also, you have these abilities here. So you have Air Elemental, Cloudburst, and Tempest Calling. So let's go ahead and read through these. Air Elemental, it teaches you summon Air Elemental. You call an Air Elemental to aid you in combat that gains a stack of Invigoration, and whenever it deals damage. So Invigoration, what that does, it increases the damage of your Air Elemental by 3% for 15 seconds, stacking 10 times. Additional applications do not refresh this. Does not refresh this duration. Okay. Additional applications do not refresh duration. And then the next one is Cloudburst. Alright, so 58 mana. Create a mighty gust of wind that knocks away all nearby enemies. Pretty interesting. That's a nice, what do you call this? Crowd control right there. And then you have Tempest Calling. Enhances some of your spells with the power of the wind, transforming your Conjure Storm into Updraft and Call Lightning into Aeroblast. Alright, so for Updraft, it depletes 20 static. You have 2 charges, 10-second recharge. Create an 8-yard updraft at the target location for 15 seconds. Deals 121 nature damage over the duration to enemies within the radius. Increases movement speed by 25% for allies within the radius. So there's kind of like a beneficial effect for both allies and enemies within this area of effect. Aeroblast here, it also depletes 50 static instead. Crushes an enemy with the weight of the winds, dealing 110 nature damage to them, and then an additional time for 40% of the damage dealt after 1 second. It's pretty interesting. So that's going to be nice to check out. All right, let's get into the Maelstrom one. Invoke the power of the storms, utilizing powerful water and lightning magic in conjunction to electrocute enemies. All right, so it does require intellect. The complexity is intermediate. The other one was advanced in comparison. You do have conductive. Conductive now grants a stack of conductive for one. I'm sorry. Shock now grants a stack of conductive for 1 minute, stacking 6 times. Torrential Wrath consumes all stacks of conductive to trigger a conduction. To trigger conduction. And what that does, it deals 21 frost damage, increasing by 25% for each stack of conductive consumed. So something to keep in mind, you have stacking effects there. And then charge. This is 55 mana. Charge yourself with electricity, generating 100 static and increasing your spell haste by 30% for your next haste. I'm sorry, your next cast. Last 10 seconds. So we'll reread real quick. Charge yourself with electricity, generating 100 static and increasing your spell haste by 30% of your next cast. Last 10 seconds. And then you got Tempest Sovereign. Enhances some of your spells with the power of the Maelstrom, transforming your shock into brine and call lightning into torrential wrath. So brine, it generates 20 static. Douse an enemy, dealing 40 frost damage, scaling with your critical strike rating. Scales with modifiers to shock. Torrential Wrath, it depletes 50 static. Blast an enemy, dealing 115 frost damage, scaling with your haste rating. Okay, so with some of these talents, you're noticing that some things get exchanged or changed. Alright, so they're replaced with different abilities, which is pretty interesting. We also have lightning. So this will be our first spec in just a moment. Obliterate the enemy through the force of lightning itself, unleashing massive bursts of energy and chaining electricity across the battlefield. So the complexity is normal, and these are your sample spells here. Electrocutioner, dealing spell damage now has a 5% chance to grant you Electrocutioner. Chances increase based on static level. Your next Electrocute within 8 seconds is usable regardless of the target's health percentage and generates 10 additional static. Alright, so guys, I'm a little bit out of order with some of the other stuff that I'm going to be sharing about Stormbringer. We'll get back to it anyway, but let me finish this reading here real quick. Yeah, Body of Lightning. So it's a 40-yard range. Instant cast. Depletes 25 static. Infuse an ally with lightning for 12 seconds, regenerating 1% of their maximum mana every 2 seconds. While active, damage dealt deals an additional 18 nature damage to nearby enemies. So that's pretty cool. You get to regenerate mana with this ability to allies. Is there a cooldown? Yeah, 45-second cooldown. Then you have Arm of Thorum, the final sample ability for lightning. This depletes all static. Call down a terrible beam of lightning upon an enemy, dealing 137 nature damage and stunning them for 1 second. So you got some CC there, which is nice. Damage and cast time increased based on static level. Alright, so yeah. Let's see. We're going to get into some of the class race combinations in just a moment. But these are pretty interesting abilities. Alright, a lot of stuff to unpack as we go through each of the class. Let's just get ourselves over to the Westfall side. We'll demonstrate those quick abilities, and we'll move on to the other screen in just a moment. So let's find a target here, actually. Disregard that. We're going to go further out first. Okay, so one of the abilities that we didn't get to demonstrate earlier was Electrocute. So we're going to do that, and also Storm Alert. So let's go ahead and do Storm Alert first. Now I believe, yeah, you could technically spam this, but it does have a cast time. Yeah, it's only one enemy at a time. It doesn't specify what kind of enemies, so I guess it's just based on, you know, it's just as long as you have a target. How long does it last? 10 seconds. So I'm going to keep them going. And then we're going to go ahead and generate some static here. So Storm Alert, from what I noticed, is pretty strong. Like it kind of kept him kind of feared for a while. Alright, and that was the Electrocute. Probably could be good again. Let's try it again. There you go. So that's how that works. Was there any other abilities that I haven't shown yet? No. Let's do that one more time. We'll just do a quick rerun. Flesh Ripper and the Coyote here. Can we hit him from the platform? Another platform, like through the ground. Wow. Where's the LOS man? And the Electrocute. Yeah, it's a chunk of damage, but I guess it depends if there's critical strike as well. That's my discharge right there. Alright, so we're gonna hang out for a minute and we'll switch to the next screen. Give me a moment, guys. Alright, so here we are, guys. We are now back at the character customization screen, and we're just gonna take a moment to observe what the Stormbringer is about on this end. So give me a moment here. Alright, so now that we're here, right, we're here at the Stormbringer side. Oh, well, not really. Character customization side. So what I want to go through is quickly some things and some points of the Stormbringer. Alright, who can be Stormbringer, my thoughts, the potential lore, and some of the themes that are connected to Stormbringer. So for now, at the moment, I'll go ahead and close this real quick. Hang on. There you go. Alright, so Stormbringer. Alright, you do have this class here, and as we did read earlier, they are capable of being casting damage dealers, and they're also able to support. Their primary resource is mana. Alright, and their second resource is static, as we demonstrated earlier. So a lot more stuff seems to make sense with the description for those who haven't seen the Stormbringer description yet. They wear cloth armor. Their combat style is Maelstrom. Weave together water and lightning magic to electrocute and drown enemies. Lightning. Unleash the arm of Thorum upon your enemies, devastating them with powerful arcane lightning strikes. Wind. Conjure an air elemental to unleash strong gusts of wind, capable of throwing enemies great distances. Sounds terrifying. So going forward, Stormbringers are master wizards who specialize in wind and lightning, generating static as they harness the power of the storms to unleash devastating attacks on their foes. Stormbringers can also bring. I'm sorry. Stormbringers can also embrace water magic, focusing on embracing the power of the maelstrom and the tides to drown their enemies. So, just with that description alone, definitely a serious class, not one to be trifled with, based on description. As with all of them, there's something definitely epic and fun to enjoy, I'm sure. With this one, definitely sounds something that I'm interested in. This was my first class, as I mentioned earlier. I remember having a fun time playing as that a Stormbringer in the alpha. There's a lot more that was a bit changed over time. I remember having I'm not sure if it's in there, but there was like a ball lightning kind of like leap ability, which was pretty interesting. But let's get into the class slash race availability. So as you can see, basically everyone on both sides, Horde and Alliance, are flashing. All right, and then you have Night Elf, which I'm actually wondering why they can't be it. And part of the reason why I wonder is because if I recall with Malfurion, I believe he had lightning-oriented effects or attacks. I'm not sure exactly how it was in the lore, in particular with Malfurion, but he was like one out of how many Night Elves, right? He was just like I think there was very few that had his type of power. Based on the story or the lore of the books, I don't think it was implemented in game. I might have missed something maybe, or I can't recall at the moment. But yeah, I think he had some abilities that were Stormbringer oriented. So let's take a look at what we're dealing with here. We got human, dwarf, and gnome. Now I can't base everything on their Titan lineage, but being Stormbringer, I think that's the source. Having Titan lineage. I mean, there's other things too. Dwarves. On the retail end, um, particularly the Wildhammer dwarves, they wield a level of electricity, if I recall correctly. They're Griffin Riders and stuff. They're Storm Bolts, if you will. That was, I think, an upgrade in I'm sorry, in Warcraft 3, um, to have like cleaving or AOE damage from the Griffin Riders. So definitely dwarves. I definitely see it being Stormbringers, and basically whatever could be a shaman, right? Largely, they could be a Stormbringer. I also would say, even mage, because they utilize, arcane as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. Um, Humans, maybe slightly less. I would definitely see dwarves maybe more populated on the Alliance side. And Draenei, Draenei's were the first shamans in Burning Crusade, right? So I guess it kind of makes sense for them. Being close to the elements is something that was kind of observed in their lore anyway. So to me, it makes sense. Stormbringer. Gnome, there's no question. There's just no question. All right. um, Being able to wield the electric, wielding electric actually for their inventions, kind of like if Tinkers got together with what do you call it, with Gnome Stormbringer, I'm sure they could do a lot. They could accomplish a lot together. Other than that, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Humans have a history of being mages, so that's pretty notable about them. And so, just wielding a different type of magic, I would say, is kind of effective. I kind of wish that Stormbringer had to, I'm sorry, that Night Elf had this option. They don't have Tinker either. That's cool. That's fine. I'll accept it as a Night Elf main. I could appreciate that being blocked off. But Stormbringer, oof, it would have been nice. It's cool though. And then you got the Horde side, right? So Horde and Orcs in particular, what I meant to say, they have a history with the elements, heritage-wise. Let's see if we could turn our dwarf into similar from Drenner side, right? Before the orc, before the corruption. There you go. So you got the Maghar kind of um, appearance right there for the orc. So this would match. I see it happening. Undead being former humans, I mean, you know, it's just another magic practice, I guess, for them. It'll be interesting to see lore on also pretty much anybody. Um, Blood Elf, capable, but I would find it to be a bit less common, in my opinion. Doesn't mean they can't do it. I just don't think it'll be as often. It largely, when you think Blood Elf, mostly is like Fire Mage that comes to mind as far as spellcaster or a mage in general. But no, it's an interesting combination. Same thing with trolls. I think it's all pretty fitting. Other than that, I mean, yeah, let me know what you guys think of the class race combinations. What lore do you think? I might have missed something, but what kind of lore do you think would add up with, let's say, a Tauren Stormbringer? And a lot of it, I guess you could just wire to basically being, you know, a shaman. That's what comes to mind when I see this. The static resource is pretty interesting too, and how you're able to use it in different ways. We're going to check into that in a moment. We're going to take a little break right after this first, and then we'll get into our lightning spec. So yeah, there's a few preparation things I need to do on my side as well, but that's what we're looking at with the Stormbringer. And it'll be also interesting to see how support role works. This is, I think, let's just check the support roles real quick. Actually, let's go to help me choose real quick, and then go to here. So these are classes, and I think it's based on race, right? So Barbarian, Stormbringer, Guardian, and Primalist, right? But if you shift it to Blood Elf, they have Blood Mage instead. Troll seems to have more options, because I believe some of the healing specializations have been changed into support. So just something to keep in mind, since this is the first class that we're doing that has a support role. And what was the other one? Yeah, Barbarian. Barbarian's always been around. Let's see, was there any other changes? I remember Primalist was healing. I actually healed with Primalist. More on that later. Blood Mage 2, yeah. What was it? Yeah, Sanguine. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Fleshweaver. Yeah, Fleshweaver was the healing spec. Was there any others, though? The most I've seen was 6. Okay, Draen I only get 3. As far as support. Gnomes 2. Night Elves 4. Dwarf. I would say that would have to be it, right? So I think Trolls have the most extensive class availability for support. Just to keep that in mind, guys. So when you make your character, you know, if you're looking for more of a support role, that would be... Hang on real quick, excuse me. That would be Wildwalker? No, Grovekeeper. Grovekeeper Primalist. Fleshweaver Blood Mage. What is this? Inspiration. Guardian. You have Wind Stormbringer. And you have Ancestry Barbarian. And Farstrider, I believe. Ranger as your support roles. So just keep that in mind, guys. Alright, so we'll be back. We'll take a bit of a break. And we'll be back in about 10 minutes, I like to say. So see you in a moment. Alright guys, it would seem that there's going to be a restart in just a matter of minutes. So let me just put a timer on real quick, hang on. Alright, so with that being said, we're going to have an alternative. May not be that long, maybe just for a few minutes, hopefully, but we'll have to see. There might be some downtime. Um, yeah, so let me just line myself up because I might have something on the side which we could check out in between time. Okay, awesome. All right, so some time ago, like everything else, things were in development. We did do a level 1 through 10 on the side with me and Mika. That was back in the alpha stage. Definitely not edited, so we're just gonna let it play through on the side while the restart takes place. Probably won't be that long though. So let me just see my details here so that we're lined up. All right, so let me put this up here real quick. I'll throw the music on just for a moment here. It's like I had an idea. Okay, let me see if I could sort this out. Um, yeah. Okay, I think that will do. Hang on, let me see. We also have it here. Probably not. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. Alright, so let me throw a timer on. We'll do a few things in between time for now. Get back into the game. We got about 5 minutes, yeah. Alright, and we'll see how things turn out. Alright, so one thing to mention though. Alright, as far as weapon skills. Alright, as you can see here, Stormbringers. They could use daggers, staves, unarmed, wands. Well, yeah, and maces. Alright, a little bit of a limit there. Alright, it's fine. Because largely you're casting anyway, right? So you could largely transmog pretty much anything. Let's see, we got this world item here. Actually never really been to Westfall since Bronzebeard changes and stuff. Alright, there's quite a few things to get to while we're here. And I am at the proper level, being level 10. Yeah, there's you go. You got the 40 minutes right there. Let's go ahead and hit some targets. I think this is part of the quest anyway. No, it's not. But we'll take the value of practicing. Alright, let's go ahead and rebuff real quick. Bruiseweed, no go. So the one thing I like about Electrocute is the fact that it's like instant cast. And also, discharge too, you could, you just gotta be mindful of how you use it, but it gives you mana back, so there's a lot of flexibility, not so much downtime. But, of course, to touch up on it, you could always have your Thunder Ale. So that's pretty cool too. You have the qualities of a mage, basically. One thing also to mention on the lore side, largely with gnomes and dwarves, not only because they're Titan, like, you know, Titan-based races, but also because of Old War, which is connected to the Titans, of course, but it's, you know, it's a key source. One of the things being Thorum, that's mentioned, I think, right over... It's probably one of the class abilities, but yeah, Arma Thorum was the ability, I just saw it. It's pretty good, as far as connecting the lore points in, so that's nice. Alright, let's see if we could get at least one of these harvest golems here. Yeah, hopefully we didn't chain pull anybody. This guy's about to get rusted. Good deal. And I have a disease on me. Tetanus? Is that a thing? I actually don't know. Interesting. Let's get this coyote. I'm not sure if I could skin. Somebody just died to Anger Boda. It's probably a reference to something. Let me know if that's a reference to something, guys. There's a lot of things I don't know. That might be one of them. No, no skinning. Alright, so some tunes I have skinning, others I have just gathering. Alright, so we got about 1 minute left. Guys, we're going to go ahead and shift over for now. Let's go ahead and switch to our video in the past. And I guess I'll provide commentary because it's unedited, so yeah, we're just going to leave it without the sound for now. So hang on real quick. Okay, good. We got it up now. Thought it would be a good project to share with both me and Mika playing. Now the only unfortunate thing is just that, well, being as rapid as the changes are, some things may not be the most current, which is why I thought it would be best just to stream instead going forward. So at the time though, we were doing recordings on about half of the classes with Mika Spark, so it was definitely a fun time. So I'll let this run through for a bit, guys. Check if the game is up. It's probably just a restart, I think. Yeah, okay, at the moment it's not online, so we'll check into that a little bit later. So let's see if there's any differences. Okay, it seems like it was on actually. Let's see now. I think we're back up, guys. We're gonna have to see how this plays out, so I'm just gonna give it about 2 more minutes though. Alright guys, we're gonna hop right back in. Alright. I'm getting marauded, as soon as I logged in. That coyote did not like me. Alright, let's dance. Some static points from the guy. Yep, I'm getting all of the attention today. I'm running. I have enough. Storm warning. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Alright. Definitely surrounded here, so I gotta watch the in-between spots here. Also, that's a nasty poison. I mean, disease too. It's not that bad, it just lasts like almost forever. It's like a really, really long disease time. Alright, so there's a bunch of mobs up there. I'm not going up there. So let's get reestablished. Alright, so what do we got going on, guys? A few things. So the reset, it would seem that everything is finished. I believe. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a reset. I don't think there was like an actual like update or anything. Let's see again, one more time. Nah. Imagine being logged in, like logging in and you're just getting marauded just out of nowhere. Cause that's just what happened. What happened? Alright, so let's put this back on real quick. Give me a moment here. Let's put this on for a bit. Alright, so we're going to begin with our first specialization. Alright guys, we went through some of the basics. We got into a little bit of the lore side, as I mentioned earlier in the character customization screen. Alright, so we're going to hit about 1 hour with the lightning spec. Alright, so this is what we're working with right now. Lightning. Once again, it says obliterate the enemy through the force of lightning itself, unleashing massive bursts of energy and chaining electricity across the battlefield. Okay, the complexity is normal. Sample spells are Electrocutioner, Body of Lightning, and Arm of Thorim. Alright, we also have a Stream Boo guy, which we're going to do away with. See ya. Send you home. You're in the wrong place. I think we are good. Okay, we should be fine. Let's get back into the game. So, Lightning Spec. Let's go ahead and choose Talents. Alright, so as you can see here on the Stormbringer side, let me just bring this up. The Stormbringer side has 3 active abilities. We'll discover each of one of them as we go through it. And then Arm of Thorim. So we want to look at this largely since we're working on the specializations, but let's just nab the first few here. Okay, we're going to go about 3 rows in. Alright, so first is Cloudburst. You create a mighty gust of wind that knocks away all enemies, all nearby enemies. Okay, so that's pretty cool. We did read this a bit, but just reviewing it. Then you have Charge. Charge yourself with electricity, generating 100 static and increasing your spell haste by 30% for your next cast. Last 10 seconds. Alright, so it's nice to get all full charge of static right there, 100%. And then you have Body of Lightning. This depletes 25 static, 40-yard range. You infuse an ally with lightning for 12 seconds, regenerating 1% of their maximum mana every 2 seconds. While active, damage dealt deals an additional 18 nature damage to nearby enemies. And then we got a few passives here. These are 2 ranks, I think, and this is 1. So the 2 rank one is Wind Shift. Increases your spell haste by 2% and reduces spell pushback suffered from damaging attacks by 25%. So you're basically more resilient. You're not able to have... you're not so easily pushed back on your spell casting. And then Arcane Lightning increases your intellect and spirit by 5%. And then going forward, Conjuration Mastery. Your Conjurer Storm now refunds 10 static. Alright, so that sounds like fun stuff. Nice to get some more static to use your abilities. And then you have inactive on this row here. 2 actives and 1 passive. So, Invigorating Winds. Envelop an ally in Invigorating Winds, granting them immunity to silence and interrupt effects, and causes them to take no pushback from damaging attacks for 20 seconds. That's pretty interesting. Okay. So no pushback at all for at least 20 seconds. Studious reduces the cast time of shock by 15%. So that's good. More shocks, more generation of static. So that's good. Then you have Eye of the Storm. Let me hit this real quick. Eye of the Storm, it says here, marks an enemy for 4 seconds. Every 1 second, enemies near them take 12 nature damage. At the end of the duration, enemies near them also take 43 damage and are rooted for 4 seconds. So, there you go. You got some roots as well. So that's nice. Now, let's get into the specialty here, or the spec. Level 10. This is your level 10 passive. Dealing spell damage now has a 5% chance to grant you Electrocutioner. Chance increases based on static level. Okay, so the more static, basically. Electrocutioner, your next electrocute within 8 seconds is usable regardless of the target's health percentage and generates 10 additional static. Alright, and then Arm of Thorim. Call down a terrible beam of lightning upon an enemy, dealing 137 damage and stunning them for 1 second. Damage and cast time increased based on static level. Alright, so definitely static, I guess you say static dependent is the right term, but your static will basically determine how effective some of these abilities will be. So let's go ahead and learn that. And we're going to bring this down actually. So this is crowd control ability. Alright, and again, we also have this disease here still stuck on us. Let's go ahead and sip on an experience potion. Alright, we're gonna knock out some quests here. Our 1 hour will begin. Alright, so we just gotta play it safe. If we can. Let's see. We have handful of votes. Okay, so we gotta collect items and slay targets. And we gotta collect an item too as well. Coyote, yeah, we don't really need those. Let's go to... Here, there's Defias here. Let's go to the fields. Alright, so we got Rusty Harvest Golem here. Just gotta watch our back here. Got some Copper Vein also. Let's rebuff ourselves real quick. Let's use our Armor Thorn. Whoa! Whoa, man! Dude! Was serious. How serious? As serious as cereal. What kind of cereal? Nobody knows. Okay, so you also have that electrocute passive kicking in. I don't want to use discharge around the board. It's just unneeded aggro. Okay, so they kind of stack here. You gotta be careful. And we got a coyote behind us, so let's do this real quick. I'm not gonna fear him because it gets too crowded. I may have to fear the other one though later. See if I can invite this Drena. Can we? Yo! Put Storm Warning on. So this is a Templar. Is there... No, I can't get these. Yeah, I can't get any of these. I have to increase actually my, what do you call it? I have to increase my herbalism skill. Yeah. Alright, so we do have our Draenei group member. And yeah, just a lot of quests being sent over. Like all day. Okay. Cool, cool. Congrats. Oop, my bad. Going in the wrong direction. Okay, so we gotta get the nulls too as well. Just gonna go ahead and AoE these things. Silver leaf? Okay, cool. We could actually get that one. Liquid Arcane. Okay, that's a roll item. Okay. They had a bunch of glowing stuff in here. That's interesting. Okay, I got those already. Let's see. Handful of oats. Yikes! That's a lot of Peace Bloom. Didn't realize I got that much. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Silver Leaf, that's nice. Level up! This NPC. There you go. Was there two in there? Just one. There's two. Of course, there's a named NPC as well. Level 15. Getting out of here. Oh! Okay, cool. So we're talking about like how like Templar used to be monk. It's pretty interesting. So I'm not sure actually next time. Just gonna equip my aura. See what we have in the area. Pocket watch. These guys are level 14. I don't know. Let's see if I can take them. So I'm not sure, but it seems like things are getting a little bit sluggish on my end. Gonna do a refresh real quick. I guess got disconnected. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Just got like all these quests. All good though. Of course, we have a silver target as well. Up here. Have any more oats around the area? Probably not. The lag is really playing. Goodness. It's pretty bad. Yeah, even looting. Goodness. Okay, let's see though. There's an improvement. Clear some stuff here.